we try to stay very conservative there because, again, if the market was to tank or something, we don't want to be hurt by that. Any questions or comments on sanitation? Airport fund is our final operating fund we look at each month. It's showing a negative bottom line, but I don't want that to alarm you guys. Basically, that's, all the construction we've got going on out there. We're building the T hangar, we're building the maintenance hangar. And both of those projects are, if not fully, they're a mostly, there we go, that's a better word. Mostly funded by a grant or a combination of grant revenue and the agreement we've got with Mr. Wills in Conway Aviation. So for the first time in the revenue section, that next second line from the bottom, you see reimbursement from Conway Aircraft. That's where Mr. Wills' company reimbursed the city for bills paid to his construction company to build the new maintenance hangar. It's kind of a complicated financial situation, but we're keeping track of it pretty well. So the maintenance hangar is the one that's contributing to that negative bottom line. We've spent about $600,000 as of the end of the year on that maintenance hangar, and we've gotten about $425,000 in reimbursements from the state and Mr. Wills. So it's about $175,000 that we've fronted, if you want to look at it that way, on that project. We've still got state grant revenue coming into us, and we've still got money owed to us. Mr. Wills will reimburse that project as well. So don't let that number, if you look at our line items, fuel sales had a good year there. So that's positive. We did miss our number just a little bit in the, where was it? T-hanger rent. We only showing 79% collected there. Last time I talked to Jack and Lloyd, they were going to kind of dig into that and make sure that we don't have folks with outstanding bills or something to us. So we'll try to get that shored up sooner rather than later. And that concludes my comments, unless anybody else has
I just have one question. I know that we've talked about historically the rent income from the Axiom building goes into this budget. Does that reflect that for this year?
No.
Okay.
Took it out.
That's all I wanted to know. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so we will collect that up until the point a transaction happens on that building potentially, and whatever revenue that is just going to be sort of an extra that we didn't really budget for.
But fuel sales look good from compared to what we budgeted, so I think that was reassuring too.
I make a motion to approve the monthly financials.
I have a motion and a second to approve the monthly financials that ended December 31st. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
On the pay-as-you-go sales tax, we've got a healthy balance in there right now. It appears. Am I reading that correctly? $7,222,000?
Yes, sir.
Plans for that?
It's mostly street projects.
Would that not come out of the street project money?
Well, which street project money are you talking about?
Which money?
We've got a few.
Okay.
Pay-as-you-go sales tax, $400,000 a year goes towards buying police vehicles. $100,000 a year goes towards maintaining fire apparatus, and then whatever comes in over and above that $500,000 is spent on street projects. So part of the reason that balance is up, and it's not really a significant reason because it's only dealing with $400,000 of it, but we weren't really able to purchase, but I think maybe one police vehicle this in 2021 just because of the supply chain issues. But mostly that's obligated for street projects.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Garrett.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Winningham. Next up, we have a public hearing to discuss the closure of an entire alley running west to east through Block 16. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that.
Shrigley.
Thank you, what Ms. Smith said. We'll now declare this public hearing open. If you come before the council, would you please state your name and address for the record?
I'm Todd Butler with Ozark Civil Engineering in Bentonville, Arkansas. Here to answer any questions you guys may have.
Well, welcome to Conway.
Thank you.
What is the purpose of desiring to close this alley?
The alley just goes through the middle of some buildings right now, and we're looking to bring a new development here. So this is just part of the first step of closing the alley, and then we'll combine all the lots and then bring we're looking to do a come and go here.
Okay, I ask you that because people that watch on TV like to know what we're doing.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you, good explanation.
The whole thing. The whole lot.
Theo, where Seductions is. Seductions, Church's Chicken, Preston Palmer, Music Play. Yes, that whole block there. No. It takes in it takes in all those business there. I'm assuming the car wash behind there too? Yes, that whole block. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that.
I make a motion to waive 3 readings.
Before we do that, would anyone like to speak in opposition to this? Okay, I have a motion and a second. This is not an ordinance, is it? Yeah, it's just a public hearing. So at this time, this public hearing is closed, and as far as I know, you will get with Mr. Walden there, sir, and y'all can proceed. I'm sorry. There is an ordinance? I'm not showing that.
Mayor?
Oh, it's coming up, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes, sir.
all right, I'm sorry. All right. We'll declare the public hearing closed at this time, and this time we will move, you're up again, sir, we will move to the community development portion, and Mr. Hawkins, I will turn this over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item is the aforementioned location that Mr. Jones was inquiring about, and Mr. Mayor so eloquently told him where it was. An ordinance to close the entire running west to east through Block 16 of the Shrigley addition. And you have information on it in your packet. And we have an ordinance to read for this item. It's ordinance 022-12.
I need to.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to waive 3 readings.
I have a motion and a second to waive 3 readings. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 7-0.
Make a motion for adoption.
I have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. Any further discussion?
It did appear that we have all of the waivers that we need to have, Conway Corp. and City of Conway Transportation Department, and so I think we're good on this.
Any further questions? Mr. Garrett?
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Ms. Tucker? Yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isby? Yes. Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
That is approved, 7-0. Thank you, sir.
Great.
Hope
Look
you
forward to
enjoy-
seeing you again.
Hope you enjoy Conway.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I spend a lot of money to come and go. Easy. I was talking to Theo. Mr. Hawkins. But bring us back in.
I'm gonna
Mr.
let them grill you for a while. I'm kinda liking this. Next item, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution to request the Faulkner County Tax Collector place liens on properties at 1269 Harrison Street for expenses incurred by the city for code enforcement. $428.18 has been spent by the city to bring this particular property up to code. Is there an owner or representative of an owner from 1216 Harrison Street in Conway with us this evening? 69, I'm sorry, thank you very much. It is 1269, and I did say 1216.
I make a motion for the adoption of the resolution.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Any further discussion? Mr. Garrett.
Be Resolution R-2204. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins.
That resolution, Mr. Garrett, again, was 04. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance accepting and appropriating grant funds received from the UAMS Institute for Digital Health and Innovation to cover the cost associated with broadband studies. And we have an ordinance to read for this item. It's ordinance O-2213.
And this is to accept a grant award for a study for broadband in certain areas of Conway. Conway Corporation will do the study. The study is along Friendship Road, South Shore Lane, which is the south side of Beaver Fork Lake, Old Military Road from the city limits to Rocky Gap, and Highway 319 south of Highway 64 to the Arkansas River.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to waive the 3 readings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0.
Make a motion for adoption of the resolution, or the ordinance.
I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any further discussion?
Just noting that we have a revised starting county side.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Mel. Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Ms. Mel? Ms. Tucker? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Isby? Yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to rezone property at 4693 Dave Ward Drive. It presently is zoned A1. The requested zoning is MF2 and C3. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their regular monthly meeting on January 18th, and at that time, the commission voted 9-0 that the request be sent to City Council with a recommendation of approval. We have an ordinance to read for this item. It's ordinance O-2214.
Make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
I have a motion and a second to waive the 3 readings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Mr. Walden, would you kind of give the folks who are watching a breakdown on this, please, sir?
Yeah, I'll try not to filibuster as Tyler thinks I tend to do. This is located just west of the Dave Ward Walmart on the south side, so down west of Spirit Homes, kind of in between one of the other areas that zone C3, just to the further west of there, like at Artis. This property is on the west side of Tucker Creek, and the applicant has come in, although it's about 30 acres, about 10 of it are actually potentially usable, but they're intending to, as they've stated, develop it with either some type of office or retail on the front and some type of low-intensity or medium-intensity multifamily on the back end of it.
Make a motion for adoption of the ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please step to the microphone. If you would, ma'am, please give your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Tanya Word, and I live at 4693 Dave Ward Drive. So my home is right next to the property that he's speaking of, and all I am requesting is maybe a privacy fence to be placed up there, especially if it's gonna be commercial or multifamily, since that's right next to our property.
I think that's a reasonable request.
That's it.
Okay, all right.
Take a motion for adoption. C fence.
Okay.
Can that be added to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need to specify what size of, how, the height of the fence? Like an 8? An 8-foot or,
That is something we can review during the site development review. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be a condition of the rezoning. We can make that a condition of the development review approval. So we'll make a note of that and make sure it's included.
Okay, let's be sure that we do, because I do understand your
Yes.
concerns, ma'am.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. Any further discussion? And thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Mr. Garrett?
Ms. Isby? Yes. Ms. Mel? Mr. Jones? Ms. Smith?
yes.
Ms. Tucker? Mr. Hawkins? Mr. Ledbetter?
Passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Next up, we have an ordinance authorizing the reclassing of a position with the Conway Police Department. Chief Tapley.
Good evening.
Hey, Chief.
Our police department currently has command staff that consists of 4 majors. This is something that actually I talked to the mayor about when I first took this job. Our department is such a size right now. We have over 170 employees. We actually have 3 different departments consisting of the police department, animal welfare, and SEOC. We have an assistant chief in title in one of our administrative majors at this point, but there's no real authority that goes with that. So it's more of an honorary title. We're in a position now with this many employees, with this much that's going on from day to day, there needs to be a second in command that helps delineate the way things are supposed to be and who people are supposed to report to. So we're asking that you reclassify one of the majors into an assistant chief's position. We're not asking for additional people, just a reclassification. No, I'm always taking your phone calls.
Chief and I discussed this when he came to work, and it's, Jody had mentioned it even prior, but William really did.
Most other departments our size or even smaller have this position. It's a needed position.
Make a motion to waive 3 readings.
I have a motion and a second to waive 3 readings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance to reclassify a position within the Conway Police Department.
I just want, Chief, do you know who's taken over that role?
So because we are civil service, we will have to go by the
through
civil service guidelines.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, Ms. Smith. Mr. Garrett?
This will be ordinance O-2215. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isby? Yes. Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Passes 7-0. Next up, we have an ordinance amending, or asking to amend ordinance O-1252 in the event permit application for special events to be held on city property and utilize city personnel and resources. This question, one thing that was asked of me by Councilman Grimes, this will not include events that we co-sponsor. This will not include tote suck days or anything like that. Chief Tapley.
So we were tasked with reviewing event permits and setting up for the needs, security needs, things of that nature. And we've been doing that for some time now, but the current permit we have discovered doesn't have enough information on it for us. And generally what happens is we get the permit in, and then we are having to reach back out and ask, are you having this? Are you doing this? Is this covered? And it stalls the whole process. And so what happens is at the end of that, then we are left scrambling around trying to make sure that we have the resources and the personnel to cover the event. And with this new permit, it's much more in depth. If we can get this information on the front end, not only does it let us know what we are going to need as far as resources, it also gives the person that is applying for the event a much clearer view of what takes place and how the process goes. So I think this is just streamlining the permit that we already have.
Make a
Chief-
motion,
Go ahead.
go on, to waive 3 readings.
I have a motion and a second to waive the 3 readings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Ms. Mel?
Okay. Will we be able to reach out to, I know we have a number of events that happen every year, to let these people who normally work with you know about the new application and information they'll need?
We can figure out a way on the ones that we know come yearly.
Yeah.
We could go back and look at some of those and send those out. I'm sure we won't hit all of them.
Yep.
But with the way it is worded, we have extended the amount of time for the permit. So even if it is new to them, it will be a much clearer process now, I believe.
Good, yeah, and we could probably do something on social media to let people know.
Are all the events out at the expo, are they in need of,
It doesn't
Of
cover
officers.
this permit does not cover anything that happens as far as Expo Center or City Park. Those are handled through Parks and Recreation. We're talking more along the lines of marches or demonstrations or things of that nature.
The Conway Fall Classic.
As I said, our biggest problem is lack of information. And we just can't plan if we don't have the information.
make a motion for adoption of the ordinance and the emergency clause?
I have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance with the emergency clause. Any further discussion? Mr. Garrett.
Ordinance 02216, Ms. Mel? Aye. Mr. Jones? Yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Ms. Tucker? Yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isby? Yes. And the mercy clause, Ms. Mel? Aye. Mr. Jones? Yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter? Yes. Ms. Tucker? Yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Both of those pass 7-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Chief Winter and Chief Ledbetter. It's ordinance appropriating funds for Fire Station Number 3 for the Conway Fire Department. All right.
Good evening, council. We are here, yes, to ask for the appropriations of fund for Station 3. If you'll recall, several months ago, Craft and Toll came in and looked at our current Station 3 due to water damage, roof damage. They advised that it was time to build a new one. I do have a drawing, architectural rendition. It's really small to see. Do y'all have that? Okay. It's hard to see the interior. 3 bedrooms, 2 private bathrooms, 1 public facility bathroom, living quarters, kitchen, office, and a bay. We had this designed also for future growth. You'll see that in the bay. It has a 3-bay, and currently Station 3 has a 2-bay. And it's also a longer bay, so we could put apparatus bumper to tailgate in those instances.
We also, we spent a lot of time on this, trying to tighten up everything in there. I don't think there's a lot of extra room in there. Just tried to be as frugal as we can. I know that Sherwood just broke ground on a new fire station, and it was, what was it, 8,200 square
I
feet,
believe so.
2.9 million.
Yes.
At $353 a foot. I think they're estimating ours at $350 a foot, but we're hoping we can beat that.
It's a tough time to build right now. Everything's high.
Yes, sir, it is.
I make a motion to waive 3 readings.
Have a motion and a second to waive the 3 readings. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 7-0.
I believe it's 7,100.
Yes, it is, yes. Yeah, 1,000 square feet.
Just out of curiosity, how many are on duty for each shift?
At that station, there are 3. Yes. And again, we designed the station with anticipation of the growth, and possibly we have a reserve ladder truck right now, in case one of our ladder trucks go down. We could put that in service at that station with additional personnel.
I was just looking at the kitchen. It didn't look, there was much there. I just wanted to make sure that these guys get to eat.
They will eat, yes.
I make a motion for adoption of the ordinance, the revised ordinance that we've gotten.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Smith. Second. I have a motion and a second to adopt the revised ordinance with the correct description of the station for Fire Station Number 3. Any further discussion? Mr. Garrett?
Ordinance O-2217. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Mel? Mr. Hawkins? Ms. Tucker? Ms. Isby? Mr. Ledbetter? Mr. Jones?
Passes 7-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Council, next item, we're going to place this in committee. The applicant was unable to attend due to sickness, so we will hold that in committee. Next is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract to convey property located at 811 North Creek Drive. What this is the Faulkner County Health Unit. The property is in our name, the city's name, and the county judge, Jim Baker, wants to improve and widen and make larger their parking lot there, and he asked if we would deed the land over to them. My recommendation is that we do. Mr. Finkenbinder advised me that should the county ever sell that land, then that will revert back to us. So, I'm sorry. Or if it's not used as a health unit, it would revert back to us. But I appreciate Jim wanting to do that. They are really in need of some more parking over there.
Make a motion for adoption of the resolution.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution, offering me to enter into a contract to sell and convey property located at 811 North Creek Drive to Faulkner County. Any further discussion? Mr. Garrett.
Be resolution R-2205. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Passes 7-0. Council, that's all we have tonight. We do have a special council meeting 1 week from tonight at 6 p.m. That's to discuss the upcoming EMS contract, and I'm going to let ask Mr. Finkenbinder if he would explain. This is something we should have been doing every 5 years. Charles, if you would explain to the council what we're doing in order to stay in line with our ordinance.
Is this on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the franchise law for ambulance service in Arkansas encourages cities that grant a franchise to occasionally engage in or allow competitive bidding to see if there's another service out there that can provide better services to the city. And it's just, the law encourages that. It's obviously a good idea, so you don't get one group in there for the entire time when someone else may be able to come in and do it better. And the whole point of the franchising licensing statute is, a big part of it is that it's difficult to make money in ambulance services for emergency transport versus non-emergency transport, which is why we have franchises in the first place. But the law encourages competition every now and then to see what else is available.
But that contract is set to expire February 1st, so now it's time to look into it.
And when the contract expires, by its terms, it stays in place, so it doesn't disrupt service. It stays in place on a month-to-month basis until one of two things happens. The council decides to renew the agreement or a new provider is selected.
And both of the groups that are interested in services to Conway will be before this council next Tuesday night.
Okay, so they will present to the council?
Yes,
then,
yes.
Is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Council, that's all I have. I'll take a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you all.